I've just got back from the track and we tried out some contrast training. Now, generally speaking, contrast training applies to weight training and plyometrics when combined into the same workout. The objective is to get a heightened neurological, CNS, fast-twitch muscle fiber motor unit recruitment response from the combined training methods, the contrast. Well, you can apply contrast methods to other types of training, to sprint work, for example, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this particular video. So the idea is that one activity potentiates, enhances the other. So you can utilize, as you're going to see, downhill sprints and uphill sprints and on the flat sprints to create a contrast methodology. We initially started with some basic drills down a gradient, and then we went into the significant part of the workout, the test if you like, and that was a combination, a contrast between uphill sprints and downhill sprints. Now, we utilize a lot of downhill sprints in our training and downhill drills for that matter. Now, we're doing them for the potentiating benefit and also from the eccentric benefits, as the down gradient will stimulate a greater braking effect on the contacts, and that can transfer into enhanced jumping, believe it or not, because when you hit the board, there's a slight brake on the long jump before you have to propel yourself up into the air. The stretch is the eccentric muscular action, and the shortening concentric muscular action follows. So when you're running downhill, there's slight braking, stretching around the quadriceps, for example, to control the descent and that eccentric action, muscular action. And that's what we're trying to capitalize on. However, in this instance, we were also looking at a stimulated neurological CNS response from the downgrade work. And we wanted to see whether that would transfer onto the flat sprinting that we subsequently did back at the track. When we got back to the track, we trialled some fly 20 meters timed with the Freelap system. And it was interesting in that the majority of the athletes ran faster times. Some of them PB'd. For example, Ignatius, a triple jumper, ran 1.99 for 20 meters, his fastest ever, and his first sub 2 second effort. Now, I'd like to think that the contrast training, the contrast sprinting, had something to do with those enhanced performances. However, it's often difficult from a coach's perspective to tease out specifically what worked, as of course our training is dovetailing towards the sharper end of the training year now, so of course the athletes are getting faster. However, I do utilize a lot of contrast training within our workouts in order to hopefully stimulate that heightened physiological, neurological response that I've talked about. A lot of elite coaches utilize that type of training in the weights room, as I've indicated, but I'm hoping that in this video you can see how you can also use contrast methodologies with sprint work as well. So not only can you utilize sprinting up and down grade and on the flat, but you can also overload sprinting, for example, with medicine balls, and even bounding, holding medicine balls before you bound or sprint without. Now again, that reflects a contrast method of training. You pair or have more than two activities that relate to one another, and you work from one to the other. But you can also use a complex where you might do 3 downhill runs before you do 3 uphill runs. So it follows the same principle, but the idea is that the activities relate to each other and stimulate an enhanced response in each other. I firmly believe that utilizing contrast and complex methodologies in training will stimulate performance to a higher level. And I'm going to be producing more videos that look specifically at contrast complex methodologies in relation to various training outcomes and inclusions, and I'll be including some sports science in there as well. If you got any specific questions on the subject matter of this particular video, then do leave them in the section below or through my other social media. Do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. And if you'd like to help me help you become a better athlete or coach, then do consider becoming a Coach Athlete channel member. I post a regular monthly video on subject matters that will improve you as coaches and athletes. They deep dive, for example, the biomechanics of the long jump and the triple jump. Proving very popular though are the month-by-month programs that I post. I utilize 10 training blocks in a year, and I will go through those specific training blocks in detail, posting the programs that I used with some of my jumpers. And I talk through what exactly we're working on and how we're trying to achieve a constant evolution of speed, power and technical ability across the training year. If you want to become a Coach Athlete member, head over to the channel's homepage, click on the membership button and you'll be taken through to the Coach Athlete member offering.